Good morning, everybody. Today I want to discuss the narrative essay with you. We've spoken about the narrative paragraph during the first term, and you've written one in your books, and you have a theory in your textbooks. Today I want to discuss the narrative essay, which means it's going to be a longer piece of writing. It's going to have a few paragraphs, so you'll have to do a little bit of planning before you can start writing. Now, the topic I want you to write about after we've discussed this today is something specific that happened to you during lockdown. You can choose your own title. Remember, this is a narrative essay, it's not a descriptive one. So I want to know what happened. What is the story? What happened to you? Why did it happen? When did it happen? How did it begin? And how did it end? So, let's start at the beginning here. When you write a narrative essay, there is a basic storyline. In other words, a story begins somewhere and the story ends somewhere. And a couple of things happen in between. These things that happen in between on paper are called paragraphs. You start with a nice first paragraph, which is your introduction, and then you start with each new paragraph where you write the main idea of that paragraph first, until you get to the very last paragraph, which is the conclusion of your story, because remember, a narrative essay is a story. I have to mention a couple of things here that we've discussed before, but I think you need to be reminded again. Firstly, please be original. Please tell your own story. No one wants to read about something that happened to someone else, or want to read a story that you've read 1,000 times before. I want to know what happened to you. So you're going to tell me about your personal experience. It's going to be an original story that no one else could have told but you. Right. Let's look at the actual writing. When you start writing, you plan ahead. You know how many words, you know how many paragraphs, and you know what the story is that you want to tell. So you're going to divide it up and decide which paragraph will cover which part of your story. Each paragraph is important because it helps you to develop your story, as we said many times before. Now, let's talk about what happens inside of every paragraph. And there we get to sentences. Please remember that you need different kinds of sentences in your paragraphs. You cannot only make statements. Ask a few questions too. As far as the length of your sentences are concerned, please make sure that you use a couple of short sentences because it has dramatic effect. But they can't all be short because it will sound like he's just having the hiccups, nay, blah blah, blah blah blah, blah blah. Please don't do that. I'll find that annoying, and I am the reader. You have to keep me interested in this specific case. Then, when it gets to longer type sentences, do not make those sentences so long that after 2 sentences, that's the end of the paragraph, and you wrote 2 sentences of 4 lines each. That will make the reader, in this case again me, fall asleep after the 4th paragraph. So please don't do that. I want to talk about the detail of your paragraphs as well. Make sure that you include detail that is interesting. In other words, you are telling a story. Tell it as interesting as you possibly can. I only have your written work in front of me. That's all I can judge. I don't have you next to me to explain all the parts of the story that you left out. So you need to do your planning carefully and include every single detail that you want to be included and that I need to understand the story. So, you've now written your first draft. You have, say, 6 paragraphs. You have about 390 words. That should be more than enough if you can't reach 400, or maybe a little bit more than 400 words. You've covered your number of words and your number of paragraphs. You've told your story. That was your first draft. You can write your first draft in pencil if you like. Now, you're going to start editing. It's always a good idea to give this essay of yours to someone else. In your case, you are at home, give it to one of your parents or brother or sister and say, read this through please and tell me what you find popping out, because when you look at a certain essay, mistakes just pop out at you sometimes. You can see immediately, these are spelling mistakes, these mistakes are logical mistakes. In other words, certain things have to happen before other things can happen. A story has a beginning, a middle, and an end. If you mess that up, your reader is confused. Again, your reader, in my instance, is an old teacher who gets confused very easily. Don't do that to me. Don't do that to your family who's going to read your paragraph as well, or your essay. Make sure that your story actually makes sense. Your final paragraph is rather important. The way you end a story can have a very dramatic effect on the way your story is told and the way that the reader perceives your essay. So people, please start writing. Think of something that happened to you during these few weeks of lockdown that was really exciting, an interesting story. I'm sure lots of things happened there. Write it down in such a way that is exciting and interesting. Start writing straight away. Do not wait. Remember, first draft first. Finish writing. Give it to someone. Get your dictionary. Sort out all your mistakes. Then you write your final version. And when you're done, keep it safe so that I can take a look at it after lockdown is over and can give you a mark. And we can discuss what you've written about. Good day to you all.